So as Trump leaves office and a whole lot of people leave with him, collaborators or Vichy Trumps, Joe in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, what's on your mind?
Tom, good afternoon. I had a thought about the holdup of the transition by Emily Murphy. My thought is that either it could be because it said that she's looking for a job right now. Well, my thought is that either it could be known that maybe the government or, authorities would be looking to disbar her or talk to a possible employer and take government contracts away from that possible employer, since she's disobeying the law and failing to follow the Constitution. I'd like your thoughts.
Well, she's not disobeying the law or failing to follow the Constitution. This is a convention. This is a normal. The normal behavior is when there's a consensus across the country, and that consensus is led by the big news organizations. When there's a consensus across the country that George Bush won and John Kerry lost, at that point. Well, actually, there wouldn't be a transition there. There's a consensus across the country that fill in the blank. That's when the transition begins. And the problem is that Donald Trump doesn't care about the way that things are normally done. He only cares about what the law actually requires. And he doesn't even care much about that. Look at how he just, thumbs his nose at the Hatch Act, for example. Even though it doesn't cover presidents, it does cover a lot of people around him, and he's encouraging them to break the law. But my take on Emily, what's her name? Murphy, thank you. My take on Emily Murphy is that if she proves herself to be a loyal Republican soldier, there will be a job for her someplace. In normal Republican world, I mean, when Republican members of Congress get kicked out of Congress, or when normal members of Republicans serve their time in administrations and then they leave, they get a job on the board of directors of Boeing, and that pays them $1 million a year. I don't know specifically about Boeing, but they get some lucrative job where 4 times a year they've got to sit in on a meeting or a 3-hour conference call, and they get a big check. Or they get, or if they're a lawyer, they get a job with a prestigious law firm. I don't know if Emily's an attorney or not. I don't know, what kind of job she'd be looking for. But in a normal Republican administration, when you stand up, I mean, look at the 3 lawyers who went down to Florida to help George W. Bush argue his case before the Supreme Court. John Roberts, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. They got well rewarded, right? So that's the kind of thing that she could normally expect. The question is, has Trump so tarnished his own reputation that the people who are associated with him will be considered pariahs after January 20th, or will the Republican Party invite them back into the fold? And that there's nobody knows the answer to that question. We do know that some of the white shoe law firms and silk stocking law firms in Washington, D.C. are starting to back away from Trump, and and thus he's left with Rudy Giuliani. But I think that, and she's probably got making a good living at her job. She may have civil service protection. Maybe she can keep it. I don't know. But I do think that. Well, actually, I don't know her, and we haven't heard a lot from her, so it's hard to judge her. But I think it's real unfortunate. Beyond that, I can't say more.